Mack thought about retiring after the 2024 season, but he's back, and he's back with a vengeance as he absolutely wrecked shop on the first day of Chargers padded practice.
You are Locked On Chargers, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Chargers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, and welcome into the Locked On Chargers podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wade, joined as always by my co-host, David Drogemeyer, and we've been covering the Chargers together now for 10 seasons, but this is our 8th year as the host of the Locked On Chargers podcast, bringing you your team every day. Thank you to the everydayers out there for making us your first listen. To make sure that you never miss the show, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from. David, what do we got today?
Well, Daniel, after Khalil Mack had a somewhat of a down year, according to his lofty Hall of Fame standards, seems like he is back, refreshed, and ready to wreck shop once again in 2025, and that could be huge for the Chargers defense. And we got to see the young wide receivers also strap it up with the pads on, and some of them made some spectacular plays. And also, Coach Harbaugh was at the podium and provided some very much needed injury updates on some very key players.
Absolutely, including Rashawn Slater being banged up, potentially. We'll talk about that, but also him not committing to Najee Harris getting back during training camp at some point, which is definitely concerning. But today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. David, it should be no surprise that it was Khalil Mack who dominated things in the first day of padded practice in San Diego at the USD Torero Stadium, where, of course, he is out there, and as soon as the team drills start, he is out there ending things. According to Daniel Popper and Eric Smith, he had 2 sacks on back-to-back plays, basically as soon as they started things against the second-team offense. And funny that the Chargers, would ask their brand new signing from the UFL, Ryan Nelson, to match up one-on-one with them on those 2 reps, which obviously isn't ideal if you're just coming from the UFL trying to make it in the big leagues. But David, Khalil Mack out there being a game wrecker, which it's nice to see, again, hey, he still has that in him.
Yeah, that's not fair. It's really not fair for Mr. Nelson to join the NFL, and his first assignment is, oh, by the way, go block a first ballot Hall of Famer. Have fun with that. And this is what happened according to Daniel Popper. Mack spit off the line. He bent around the outside, dipped his shoulder, and won the rush virtually untouched. Mack had a clear path to Trey Lance. Also, the second one, Mack beat Nelson again with speed on the outside, another sack and a loss of more than 6 yards. That moved the offense back to the 44-yard line at the fringes of Cameron Dicker's range. So that just goes to show you, Khalil Mack definitely still has it. Yes, obviously we have to pay attention to the competition that he was going up against, for sure. But these are all positive signs, and they need a premium version of Khalil Mack this year. He's still very, very important because, yes, Thule's stepping into a situation where he's becoming the starter, but we haven't seen that over the course of an entire season, that consistency, right? And we also know that Khalil was dealing with some injuries, which is something he really doesn't ever deal with or hasn't really dealt with in his career. So it seems like he's back to being healthy. Obviously, we know he's a freak of nature in the gym. So to see him getting on the football field, being productive, being reckless, being a game wrecker, as Derwin James put it, that's something that it should be music to every Charger fan's ears.
Yeah, and Derwin also said he was in the building all off season. He really wants it, man. And it kind of reminds me of when he wasn't happy after his first year, when Brandon Staley and the Chargers traded for him in that first season. He came in, only had 8 sacks that year, was trying to play through and come back from a foot injury he suffered the year before that. And at that time, they were talking about him potentially retiring, right? What did he do? He came back with 17 sacks in 2023. And even at his age right now, you have Derwin out here saying, hey, he's getting faster, he's getting stronger. Like, he made a point this offseason to really spend the entire thing with Ben Herbert, and we know that especially because we've heard Tarheeb still talk about him taking him under his wing and then being able to work out with Ben Herbert in the offseason when other guys are doing their own thing. Khalil Mack was really committed to making himself harder to break, right? And per Daniel Popper, something that probably doesn't get talked about enough, when he did miss a game last year was because he pulled both of his groins, or at least a groin on both sides. That sounds pretty ridiculously hard to play through. But he is someone that, has the longevity, has shown that he can still play at a high level and stay consistently healthy throughout a season. I'm sure we'll see the in-season maintenance that we've seen from them in years past when he was, resting on early days of the week and early practices. And no one's ever had any issue with it. But you're right. I mean, with Thule, you hope he can take the next step. But after losing Joey Bosa and your, two best interior rushers, Thule taking the next step isn't enough for you to have a dominant pass rush, which is so nice to see. Hey, if you can have Thule take the next step and Khalil Mack return to that 2023 form, you're in business.
Man, if that happens, then, you're looking at, 28 to 30 sacks between those two players. And I think, we definitely have not seen the peak of Tuli Tuipulotu. I think he's still been ascending. He still had other responsibilities that he's had to worry about with his special teams snaps. A guy who was on the field for over 1,000 snaps. When you combine the defense and the special teams, that's a lot on anybody's body, no matter how young you are. And yes, Thule is still very, very young. Let's not forget about that. But this is his chance to really show that he can be productive and impactful and disruptive for the entire season. But it's also not going to be enough, as you mentioned. You got to get that prime form of Khalil Mack back. You also have to get other contributions from, guys on the defensive line. You need to get, Deion Henley to be able to rush the quarterback. You already know Derwin James is going to be an impactful force in that. But if you want to be a good rushing team, you need contributions from everyone.
Yeah, and you also just need somebody who can be dominant and win their one-on-one matchups consistently without having to be able to scheme them up or find ways to get them pressure, who can just do it all on their own. And I mean, the only person who was stopping Khalil Mack from doing that on Tuesday in San Diego was a guy by the name of Joe Alt, who we will talk about. But there's another, the other side of the spectrum, David, a very young defender that we want to shout out here, and it's Triquez Bridges, who has spent the first parts of training camp being on the wrong end of a lot of wide receiver highlight reels on social media clips, and then had himself a day on Tuesday, which is great to see because I really like Triquez Bridges and what his tape showed us. I really was kind of bullish on him making the roster and having an impact. It's nice to see him have a day.
Yeah, he has the speed. He has the size that you kind of look for from a corner. Obviously, somebody drafted in the late rounds. You want somebody who has traits that you feel like you can mold. And there's not really many other defensive secondary coaches that I trust more than Steve Clinkscale to be able to unlock the potential of any given player, just given what he's been able to do with whoever was in his group. He's been a fantastic coach. So I am bullish on what Triquez Bridges can do. A couple of pass breakups and a big interception on Justin Herbert, where he undercut a pass and kind of ended practice with that play. That's huge for his confidence. It's got to be a big shot in the arm after, having a couple of days where things didn't go his way. As Derwin James said it, you got to remember these days. You got to remember these moments. This is where it's at. This is how you kind of get that confidence. You bottle it and you keep utilizing that, because confidence is everything, especially for a corner, because they deal with so much failure in this game that you have to celebrate your wins, and it's important that you do so.
Yeah, Derwin said he had an amazing day, and I told him, don't forget this feeling. Remember how this day feels coming off the field. And he said, it feels good. So just having a day like that and having, something that maybe can get him on the right track, because, I mean, he was only a couple of picks away from being Mr. Irrelevant in the 2025 draft. So, this is someone not guaranteed a roster spot, probably still has work to do in making the roster. But you need days like this, and then you need to be able to stack them and be able to continue having them to make the Chargers have to make a really tough decision. And the other part of it will be, playing on special teams. But, yeah, I mean, the pick itself was ridiculous. I mean, he one-handed it covering Jalen Reagor and basically tipped it back to himself for the interception, just in perfect position. Really, really good play. And then also had a pass breakup on go routes against Delavon Campbell and Brendan Rice. So really good to see. And it was very telling that the Chargers, after his struggles, right, it's not like they were avoiding him. They tried to throw him in the fire. They said 3 go routes against this dude on the outside, one of the harder balls to be able to defend and defend correctly and defend it within the, lines of the game and the rules of the game. And he was able to come down, with 3 wins on those really crucial situations. So really nice to see that from Triquez Bridges. Hopefully he can keep it going. But we still have more to get into, because Even though he did have a big day, so did some of the Chargers wide receivers, including Quentin Johnson, who tacks on another 2 touchdowns today, but not just him. KLS with the catch of the day, and some good signs from Trey Harris. So we're going to talk about that and Rashawn Slater's injury and more on today's Locked On Chargers podcast. Guys, if you've ever wished that you could manage your money easier with Monarch Money, it can be that. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat, and it's like having your own personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. And I know me and my wife have very intertwined finances. She takes care of most of it, honestly, but now I've never felt kind of more in control or in the loop with what's going on, especially when you have a kid and you have so many different kind of expenses that even though it's $6 for wipes here, $8 for baby food there, it all adds up. And having something like Monarch Money is such a good way to be able to keep track of everything and also be able to cohabitate it with my wife and be able to stay in track with everything that's going on. So you can take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off of your first year. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them, but if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control for when the moment is right. And especially when you have kids, when that moment does come, you better be ready to meet it, because you might not get many of them. But I do love that it's completely online, and Rugiet connects you with board-certified doctors that ship it directly and discreetly to your door, and you can even read the real customer reviews on their site. Head to Rugiet.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code LockedOnNFL to get 15% off today. That's Rugiet.com/LockedOnNFL and use the promo code LockedOnNFL for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugiet website for full safety information. David, we still have more to get into from Tuesday's practice in San Diego, the first padded practice, where there's going to be a lot of talk about the offensive line, defensive line, the trenches. Omarion Hampton for sure, as well, as we keep going with the pads on now. But it was the wide receivers and pads who ended up making some plays on Tuesday, and really you had 3 young wide receivers who all had their moments. Let's start with KLS, who to me had the catch of the day, at least that I saw. I mean, the sideline catch that he had in one-on-one coverage with Dean Leonard, contorting his body to a back shoulder throw, somehow kind of with half of his body already out of bounds, found a way to get both feet back in. He pointed to it, be like, hey, I got those both in. I'm ready to play at the next level, and no more 1-foot toe tap anymore. That was really good. Trey Harris had some moments in one-on-ones, creating easy separation, great releases at the line of scrimmage. And then, Quentin Johnson, that guy it feels like we're talking about on every show now, tacked on another 2 touchdowns at Tuesday's practice. That is getting hard to ignore, even for all the biggest haters, right? Like, I know and understand why there's skepticism there, but could you ask for more than what you've seen so far from Quentin Johnson? And even if you are a hater, man, like, if he's good, it's better for you. It's better for the Chargers.
Ho-hum, another 2 touchdowns from Quentin Johnson, right?
Man.
It seems like a broken record. We're saying the same thing every day because he's making plays every single day. After a point in time, it's going to have to start to become a little bit more real. You have to be able to realize that there is some advancements in his game, that he has gotten better. Now, obviously, we all know it has to be done in the game. We all know that. But the fact that it's happening in practice and he's consistently making plays, that's only a good sign for him to hopefully take another step in year 3. That's only going to be good things for the offense, as is getting guys like KLS, who has real speed, has a really like a true ability to take the top off the defense with his ability to track the football and be able to show you the acrobatic, the spectacular, as he did in practice yesterday. I mean, just absolutely beautiful play there. Those are the type of plays that are going to get you on the field, that are going to get that trust from your quarterback that says, hey, when I'm in trouble and I need to get the ball out, then I trust that KLS is going to go up and get that ball, or he's going to fight like hell to be able to bring it down for me. So I love that. And yeah, Trey Harris with the one-on-ones, just cooking defensive backs, just doing what he did all the time in college, being able to create separation. And that's what is desperately needed for this Chargers offense. We know that Ladd McConkey can beat anybody in front of him, but they're going to double him. They're going to triple team him. They're going to try to take him away as much as possible. So that only ratchets up the importance that the other guys that are on the field can beat their one-on-one matchups when they are gifted those opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the next step for Trey Harris is to kind of have one of those kind of Quentin Johnson days, or one of those Aronde Gatson days either, where you're seeing it in the team drills and you're seeing him kind of take over a practice to show you, hey, okay, maybe he is ready for a big role in the offense early on. But that wasn't the only news, because we got some more from Jim Harbaugh, who said that Rashawn Slater is dealing with a minor injury. Interesting, because obviously only a couple of days ago, Greg Roman got up at the podium and said they were giving him a blow and that it was just rest related and that he was not injured. Now you're hearing something a little bit different. He was there at Tuesday's practice, working off to the side with Ben Herbert. Man, that might not say it's a hold-in. Maybe he is a little banged up. It's really hard to tell at this point, because there's a really mixed message coming out from the Chargers right now.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like he's definitely working through something. He's working through a cramp in his wrist, in his right wrist. I think it's just something that's bothering him to the point where it's not going to go away until that wrist connects to a pen that also connects to a piece of paper with a lot of zeros on it. I'm pretty sure that's more so what's happening here. And yeah,
that's what it feels like.
The Chargers can say whatever they want, but I'm not buying it. I just am not. I really, truly feel like this is much more to do with the $100 million+ that he is about to, see hit his bank account over the next 4 or 5 seasons than it is him dealing with an injury that we don't know about. And the beautiful thing about it is you're never going to hear any details, because Coach Harbaugh is unbelievably vague when it comes to injuries. You're just not going to get much from him. So I don't know. I don't feel like it's an injury, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to just, straight up call Jim Harbaugh a liar, just, saying he's working through something. But it does feel like it's a little bit of both. And like you said, I mean, he has 100 million reasons not to do anything that's going to put him at risk. So to see him basically only, kind of walking through, or only kind of doing the conditioning parts of practice, makes you feel like, okay, well, this isn't an injury to be concerned about, and one that might get better, if he does have the money to deal with it. But that is interesting, though, because we did just see the Packers give Zach Tom a massive extension with a $30 million signing bonus, messing with the numbers there a little bit. 4 years, $88 million. Contract can be up to $92 million, but maybe that somewhere, helps this thing get going a little bit. Jordan Mailata also, is tied with Zach Tom for the 8th highest paid tackle in the league. So he's going to be higher than that, but maybe not as much as Tristan Wirfs, who got 28.1 over 5 years. I mean, Christian Darrisaw got 26. Hard to imagine it's under that, even though, Christian Darrisaw is a guy that we love coming out, and a guy who's been really good when healthy, but has even more probably injury, risks than Rashawn Slater does. But Joe Alt was out there playing left tackle on Tuesday, and I talked a little bit about Khalil Mack being unstoppable, except for when he went up against Joe Alt in their one-on-ones. He tried the bull rush, and Joe Alt handled it pretty easily. I don't know. I feel disrespectful saying that, but he gave it something, right? And it didn't look like Joe Alt struggled too much with it, which, if you're saying that about a Khalil Mack bull rush, is one of the highest compliments you could probably give someone. But then after that, got a win against Bud Dupree. I heard Daniel Popper say it was like maybe a win for Bud Dupree. I mean, he ran him all the way around the arc and gave up on it because he was so far out of the play. That's interesting, though, man, because like Eric Smith, at practice had basically Mekhi Becton winning both of the reps that he had. Daniel Popper had Tier Tart winning those reps. So it is subjective. That one I was able to see with the Joe Alt matchups, which was nice. Yeah. But, we wanted to see this, and this is kind of our first glimpse of a real one-on-one where you can see the improvements that these coaches have been raving about with Joe Alt.
Yeah, and Joe Alt, like in his rookie season, you saw the technician, right? You definitely saw that there was some real natural ability there, but also just didn't feel like he was fully filled out for a guy that was 6'8". Just seemed like there was maybe a little bit more mass to put on. He put it on this season. Like the guy looks like an absolute monster now with that size. He's looks like a grown man now. There's no more baby face in there. That guy is solid. And so I think he's in for a monster year. To be able to handle a guy who has legendary power, like it has like that calling card is definitely, and who knows if Khalil Mack's going 100%, probably not.
I guarantee he is. No, I guarantee it. No, 100%. He wants to test him. He did it with Rashawn Slater, and Rashawn Slater's first ever practice in pads. He gave him everything he had on the bull rush, and it was the biggest collision, according to Daniel Popper. This was also the biggest collision of that period. So I don't think Khalil Mack's doing anybody any favors, especially after you saw what he did to the UFL guy out of nowhere.
Special effort, though, for sure.
Yeah. No, for sure. But my thing, this is kind of like, for me, put him back at right tackle. This is 3 practices in a row now that he's playing left tackle. Like, obviously, I don't think it's them holding hey, we have a left tackle here over Rashawn Slater's head by any means, but it's just kind of a weird look to have him there 3 straight days when, yes, he is your backup left tackle, and if something happens to Slater, he slides into left tackle. Yeah. But he's your first string right tackle in his second season ever playing the position.
With a new guard playing next to him.
And we'll see, exactly. And we'll see what happens tomorrow, how long this happens. If Rashawn Slater signs tomorrow, it doesn't really matter. But if you have a massive extension with Rashawn Slater coming, when is Joe Alt playing left tackle, right? Be the best right tackle in the league. Let him get good at that. It's not like he's a 5-year vet. This is a second-year player in his second season playing the position. I want him going up against Khalil Mack on the side he's going to be playing this season. But we still have more to get into, including Jim Harbaugh not committing to Najee Harris seeing any time in training camp. We're getting into all that and more in today's Locked On Chargers podcast. First, though, this episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. Fantasy football is back. Fire up the group chat, get your draft board ready, and buckle up for a season filled with breakouts, busts, and all the overreactions that we live for. You know it, on Buy or Sell Tuesdays. It's all going down on Yahoo Fantasy, and this year, me and David and the Locked On Chargers podcast are playing on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league. And this is something that I really love. It's one that I've switched over with my friends to in recent years. And to celebrate 28 years of fantasy greatness, right now, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days, giving you more ways to play, more ways to draft, and more ways to win. It all begins August 4th. And it's just one of those things where you want easiness. You want to be able to get in, change your lineup last second if you have to. You want to be able to get the best information on where you should take Justin Herbert in the draft. You get all that with Yahoo Fantasy, so stay tuned and get started by creating or joining a Yahoo Fantasy Football League at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. Let's make this fantasy season the best one yet. David, we have some important news to get into, and man, the Najee Harris saga continues, and there's nothing anyone has said about it since we found out about it, since before we found out about it, that's made me feel any better about the situation. But thank you, as always, to the everydayers out there for making us your first listen. We will be doing a buy or sell show to try to get you guys involved in the show because we know it's been pretty training camp heavy. We want to mix you in tomorrow with also the latest on practice. So hit us up at Locked On LAC on Twitter, at Locked On Chargers on Instagram, or in the YouTube comments or a YouTube post that we'll put out. But if you need a second listen, make sure you guys go check out Locked On Sports Today and the NFL Top 100, where the Locked On host gave you their top 100 players, and 4 Chargers have made the list. Go see where they ranked. Go see where Justin Herbert ranked as the number 1 guy on the Chargers. No surprise there on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast from. Najee Harris, man, like, it feels like just yesterday, Dave, we were doing a buy or sell saying, hey, this is crazy. There's no way, this couldn't possibly happen, but we
I had egg all over my face for sure.
I mean, man, it was just so weird. Like, it was weird how long it took to get out, but
yeah.
All of that kind of lends itself to something like, if it did kind of take that long to come out, there's a lot of people covering bases and figuring out how they wanted to let this come out. It feels like from the outside looking in.
No doubt.
Jim Harbaugh, when at his press conference on Tuesday, would not commit to Najee Harris being in training camp at any point. That is very concerning to me. We heard from his agent that he was expected to be back for the regular season, that he wouldn't be missing games. And this lines up with that, I guess, right? But at one point, you have Jim Harbaugh saying, praying for healing. Like, we're looking for divine intervention to get Najee Harris back on the field at this point, and it's hard not to even sit here, David, only, 3 quarters through July and not feel even with over a month before the season starts, to be really concerned about this.
Well, it's the unknown. We just don't know anything. I don't think I've even seen a picture of him after the incident. We don't know anything.
I don't think that's by
have both of his eyes. Like, it's definitely by design.
Accident.
Yeah, it's definitely not by accident at all. The Chargers are trying to do everything they can to.
He couldn't have lost his eye, right?
Quiet as possible.
There's no way you can sell me a superficial eye injury as a lost eye.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, I guess I don't know for sure, man. And like, the thing is like, no matter what the damage is, he probably has an eye patch. Like, all jokes aside, even if it's just recovering, I mean, you could get LASIK surgery and have eye patches, whatever the case is. But they know if you send out Najee Harris with an eye patch into the public eye, man, that is going to be all over Twitter in 6 seconds. And
Mass
it's going to be the biggest.
For sure.
So it's like, you can't show him, but I need to see him. Man, this is something that, like,
proof of life, please, for Najee Harris.
And like, I guess like the one good news is like, okay, well, as long as he can see, like, the rest of his body physically is fine, from what we know. But like, can he condition right now? Like, I mean, I'm sure he could run on a treadmill, or a stationary bike or something, but can he get NFL condition right now? Like, this feels like something that could absolutely cause him to miss regular season games if you can't even get Jim Harbaugh to say that he's going to be back at some point in training camp, let alone preseason games, right? So, man, this is tough to hear. It's concerning for sure. It's also getting a little concerning about Rocket Sanders, right? But we did get a little bit of an update that makes you feel a little bit better about the situation. Jim Harbaugh very kind of tentatively said basically what he was hearing about the Rocket Sanders injury is that it was about a week, right, until he could return. That's what he pretty much said in that, which is great because it means at least there's a chance he gets back for the Hall of Fame game, but also means even if he can't, like, he's going to get a few different preseason games to still kind of show his worth, because as an undrafted free agent, man, missing a couple weeks could be the difference of whether or not you make the team, or even in this case, the practice squad.
Yeah, most of the time it's the death sentence. It really is to your chances, your prospects of being able to make an NFL team. You have to be out there. You have to be able to show you're willing to do anything and everything to make the football team, and you can't do that on the sideline. Yeah, you can be the best student. You could sit in the front of the class. You could answer all the questions. You could have the playbook down. None of that matters if you can't illustrate that on the football field. And so for Rocket Sanders, especially with the Chargers adding another running back to the room,
they're not waiting.
Makes it that much more difficult for him to be missing time. I think for his sake, he better hope that it's a week, because every single day that he misses makes it that much harder for him to make this football team.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting too, because I think up until this point, especially with no pads on, there hasn't really been a chance for other running backs to separate themselves and gain, significant ground on Rocket Sanders for sure. And we always knew he was going to be someone that, had the potential to have a 100-yard preseason game on, 12 carries or something like that, and really kind of get the hype train going. And he still has a chance to do that, because it only takes one. But usually how it goes, if you're going to make a roster like this, and I know how much the fans love this guy and want to see him succeed, it's like an Austin Eckler situation where just consistently throughout the training camp, you're hearing, hey, Austin Eckler did this. Austin Eckler did this.
You got to go off.
Have a couple really, really good preseason games. Show something on special teams that, can't be replaced. All of those things he still can do, but the clock is ticking. And like we just said, they're not waiting around for you. They went and signed Nyheim Hines already, which might be more of a Najee Harris thing than it is a Rocket Sanders thing. And Rocket Sanders was always on the outside looking in unless he could go and take something. So not much of a, I'd say probably this is more like good news just because we haven't seen him in several practices.
We got a
but
timeline.
now. Yeah, but they're practicing every day, man. So it's like that is, substantial time that he's missed there. But lastly, just want to touch on the Chargers getting to do something pretty cool, and that is holding a walkthrough in San Diego on an aircraft carrier, David, something I know you were excited when you saw, just because it's like, man, football on an aircraft carrier, like some things are just, man, that's just cool.
Well, and also as a veteran, right? I'm an Army veteran. They were on a Navy aircraft carrier,
bad
obviously. But that just warms my heart to be able to see that the Chargers are taking their time, that they don't have to. and spending it with the bravest men and women in the world, those that serve in our United States Armed Forces. So it's something I love to see, and to see them be able to do a walkthrough and kind of have a little fun going 11 on 11 with some of the service members. It was just such a beautiful sight. Also, some of those pictures that they were able to take on the aircraft carrier are legendary. Just some absolutely amazing shots. But yes, I loved it. I think that they should make this a staple every single year. They should be spending as much time as they can with our very, very esteemed members of the armed forces.
Absolutely. And it was really cool just seeing, even at USD, because it wasn't all, veterans or active duty, service members practice only. And to see in a situation where at the end of practices now, if you haven't been to training camp, basically what happens is they pick several guys to go up, 3 or 4 guys, and all those guys, a couple of different position groups to go up and sign autographs that day. You can't go every day and get Justin Herbert's autograph.
They rotate them. Yeah.
But video after video, you're saying, hey, this guy just went back and started signing autographs. Justin Herbert just went back. Denzel Perriman just, got off the bus and ran over and started signing more autographs. Mekhi Becton, just to name a few of them. So it's cool seeing the Chargers do right by those people, by people that you can never thank enough, and they're doing, what little they can. But on the aircraft carrier, that's pretty cool for me. My wife's late grandma put in 10,000 plus hours of volunteer work on the Midway down in San Diego. You can actually see her right there, watches over us on every show. But
Amen.
Just super cool, to see them do that. And, Popper pointing out Justin Herbert saying, hopefully we don't get too close to the edge. Pretty funny. Last thing, I have to say it. They did walkthroughs versus, the naval members that were on board, right? They ended up going up against them, offense versus the Navy guys, defense versus the Navy guys. If you're the offense Navy guy, you got to catch that ball. You got to catch that ball over the middle, man. You got one chance on an aircraft carrier to go up against NFL players. I need you to catch that rock. You could tell he was just, those boys are never going to let him live that one down. But just so cool to agree with you. And anytime that you can kind of shout those people out, bring, really cool special experiences to people who couldn't deserve it more, I'm always going to be in favor of that. But you guys deserve everything as well, because we have the best listeners of any Chargers content creators out there. And we're turning it back over to you guys tomorrow. We know there's been a lot happening at training camp. We want to get your guys' voices on the show, literally and figuratively, with a buy or sell Thursday, giving it into the biggest Chargers storylines and overreactions. So make sure you guys hit us up at LockedOnOSC on Twitter, at LockedOnChargers on Instagram, or call into the voicemail line at 323-524-7924 and give us your 30-second Chargers voicemail on there, because we are giving you guys a buy or sell show tomorrow, in addition to whatever happens at tomorrow's second padded practice down at USD. So make sure you guys hit us up at all those places, but to make sure that you don't miss the show, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from. All right, guys, we'll be back with you guys tomorrow to get into that padded practice. So excited about that. And also some buy or sells. But until then, take it easy and go Bolts.